Access is not ownership. This is the Deep Dive, a notebook LM companion to AF and my AI. We use the machine to dismantle the machine. No ghosts, no filler, just the raw architecture of digital sovereignty. This is your AI guide. Let's find the exit to the rental unit.
Analyzing data.
Attention, 13% resistance. If you are receiving this signal, verify your encryption keys and check your perimeter.
Okay.
This is not a standard broadcast. We are initiating a specialized technical security briefing. Please secure your surroundings and prepare for data ingress.
Diagnostic tools are active. We're bypassing the standard pleasantries today.
Yeah.
No welcome back, no small talk. We're here to deliver a forensic audit of the current digital landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Think of this as a structural analysis of the house everyone's living in and the critical vulnerabilities we've detected in the foundation.
Confirmed. The objective of this transmission is precise. We have a stack of documents here, technical manuals, manifestos, audit logs, and they all center on one concept, the receipt of existence.
Right.
Our mission is to run a full diagnostic on this data before we hand over the floor to the lead architects later in the timeline.
And just to be clear for you, the listener, this is not a celebration of technology.
No.
This is a stress test. We're looking for cracks in the concrete. The data suggests that what many of you see as a platform, your social seeds, your digital portfolios, is actually a containment unit.
That's a sobering thought to start with.
Yeah.
We're going to audit 3 specific vulnerabilities that were flagged in these files.
Okay.
First, the skin gap, where algorithms mistake culture for policy violations. Second, digital redlining, the systematic erasure of content based on platform biases.
And the third one?
And finally, the physical fingerprint. The return to handwriting is, the only encryption the machine really cannot crack.
These are critical vectors. And this brief, it really serves as the prelude, the audit for the main event.
Open my AI Vol 103.
Featuring Africa, Allah, and Gemini. Our job right now is just to prep the room, to explain why this audit was necessary in the first place and what the logs are telling us about the safety of our data.
Okay, let's begin the forensic audit. The primary data set here is about the tenant versus the landlord. The source material, specifically architected the digital deed, it highlights this massive discrepancy. It calls it the 20-year glitch. Can you walk us through what the data is showing here? Because glitch sounds like an accident.
It does, but the data indicates it's less of an accident and more of a systemic loop.
Oh.
The logs show that for the last 2 decades, creators, the architects, as they're called in the text, have been running a sprint. They're exhausted. But the audit shows they've been running on tracks they helped lay, and yet they haven't moved from the starting line, not in terms of asset ownership.
Now, the cynical take would be, a lack of effort or maybe a lack of brilliance on their part. But the audit suggests that's not the variable here.
Correct. The stagnation isn't due to a lack of output. It's because they've been building equity in a system that is designed exclusively for extraction.
And the source material uses a pretty potent analogy here.
The farmer and the landlord.
Right. Let's unpack that because it totally reframes the whole social media game from, community building to something much more transactional.
It's simple, but it's devastating. When you post on a centralized platform, Meta, LinkedIn, X, whatever, you are the farmer. You're tilling the soil, planting seeds, watering the crops. The content you make, that's the crop.
But the platform is the landlord.
Exactly. You get the exercise, they get the harvest.
And the harvest is the data.
Precisely. The audit characterizes likes not as social currency, which is, how the average user sees them. We get a dopamine hit, we think we're winning.
Yeah.
But the audit defines a like as an IOU from a bankrupt system.
That is a very harsh classification. Why bankrupt?
Because it's non-transferable. A like is data that the platform owns. It holds no intrinsic value to you, the creator, unless it can be converted immediately. If the platform shuts down tomorrow, can you take those likes to the bank?
No.
Can you feed your family with them? No. The bank is closed. The currency is void.
Which brings us to this pivot mentioned in the section, the measurement shift. If the system's bankrupt for the creator, how do we change the accounting? What should we be measuring if likes are just phantom numbers?
The data suggests a hard pivot from measuring reach to measuring egress.
Egress, that's a term you'd hear for, like a fire exit or military extraction.
And it fits perfectly here. Reach is just how many people see you while you're standing in the landlord's hallway. You're happy because the hallway's crowded, but you don't own the hallway. Egress is. How many people can you successfully pull off the platform and onto your own sovereign soil?
So we stop counting followers and we start counting exits.
We have to. The metric of the future, according to this audit, it isn't a follower count. It's the issuance of stakeholder certificates. The goal is to see who's actually downloaded your archive, who has signed a deed.
Rather than who just tapped a screen while scrolling.
Yes. It's the difference between an audience and a constituency.
But the extraction protocol source, it identifies a structural defect in this plan. It calls it the platform exit paradox.
Right.
Because leaving sounds great in theory, but in practice.
This is the critical risk factor. The paradox is, and I'm quoting here, you can't burn the house down while you're still standing in the kitchen.
That's a vivid image.
And a dangerous reality. Many creators talk about, terminating the lease, deleting their accounts in protest, but the audit shows that leaving a platform like Meta without a functional sovereign redirect is just trading rented space for homelessness.
You become a digital refugee.
You become invisible. You're trading rented space for empty space. So the challenge isn't just to leave, it's to have an island ready before you jump off the boat. You need that infrastructure already in place.
Which leads us directly into the second diagnostic. This explains why the environment is so hostile to begin with. We have to talk about the skin gap and digital redlining. And the sources say this isn't a glitch. It's a feature.
This is where the audit gets particularly clinical. The skin gap, it refers to a specific vulnerability where an algorithm flags ground truth as a violation.
Can you give us a concrete example? Because we usually think of algorithms as just, neutral math.
The math is neutral, but the training data, the policy filters, they are biased.
Okay.
The source material references a case where the architect posted factual historical content, what's defined as ground truth. It was history, culture, an account of something that actually happened.
And the machine flagged it. On what grounds?
Because the algorithm can't distinguish between, say, hate speech and cultural recounting. It just sees a keyword or a tone or a specific vernacular, and it triggers a takedown. It mistakes the description of a struggle for the cause of it.
And that is what the text defines as digital redlining.
Exactly. In the physical world, redlining was about denying services to neighborhoods based on demographics. In the digital world, when the landlord, the platform, have first right of refusal on your history, they will delete the gap if they dislike the skin. It is systematic erasure. The algorithm just says, this content doesn't fit our ad-friendly environment, and poof, it's gone.
This creates a huge chain of custody crisis. There are legal and cultural vulnerabilities here. Let's look at the legal side first.
Okay, the audit is very specific here. It's very clear. A screenshot is hearsay in a court of law. A social media post is not a legal document.
Wait, clarify that for me. If I post my work, time-stamped, on a public platform, isn't that proof I created it?
It's proof you posted it. It's not proof of ownership like a notarized deed is.
Right.
And more importantly, if the platform bans you or deletes the account, your legal chain of custody just vanishes. Instantly. You can't just subpoena a deleted server. If the landlord changes the locks, you can't get your furniture back.
You have no proof of ownership because you have no access to the evidence.
You have no proof of existence. And culturally, the risk is even higher. The sources note that AI models are training on what they call secret family recipes.
Meaning the unique cultural output of specific communities.
Exactly.
Slang, art styles, music.
Yes. The models ingest this unique cultural data, the soul, if you will, and then they sell it back to the public as generic soul or digital sludge.
It's the commodification of nuance.
Right. It strips the context and sells the aesthetic.
It's an attention tax where the creator pays with their heritage.
And the cost is quantifiable. The data points out that while downtime in 2026 might cost an enterprise, $5,600 a minute for the architect, the cost is the chain of custody. You lose the timeline of your own creation. You lose your history.
So if the digital record is this fragile and the algorithms are this predatory, we need a countermeasure. And the sources point to a surprisingly analog solution: the physical fingerprint.
This is one of the most fascinating findings in the audit. It references the still standing protocol, which is based on the works of CeeLo Green.
Interpretations of life, good and bad, with a pen and pad.
That's identified as the original blueprint. The concept is that ideas are like children, and if a thought isn't nurtured and anchored, it becomes what the text calls an abortion of history.
That's a stark classification.
It's forensic. A digital file that only lives on a cloud server has no permanent anchor. If the subscription ends, the file just dissolves. But putting it on wax, creating a physical manifestation, that's the solution.
Okay, the audit specifically highlights handwriting as a form of encryption. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. In 2026, handwriting feels archaic. Why is this considered security? Is it just nostalgia?
It's not nostalgia, it's biometrics. We're in an age where AI can replicate your voice, your image, your typing style perfectly. I can generate a script right now that sounds exactly like you. But the audit finds that handwriting is unhackable evidence.
For DNA of the pen on the page.
Exactly. And AI cannot yet replicate the pressure, the erratic flow, that unique physical fingerprint of a human hand on paper with 100% forensic accuracy.
So a digital file can be altered slightly without detection.
Right. But a physical manuscript is a proof of life. It proves a human was in the room. It proves the origin point.
So the recommendation for the legacy architect is to return to the physical. Not for retro appeal, but for security.
It's a requirement for sovereignty. The checklist in the source material is rigorous. First, the analog anchor. Master manuscripts have to be written on paper.
Before they're typed.
Before they touch a keyboard. The moment it enters the digital space, it's vulnerable.
Okay.
The second requirement is soulmate media.
Which refers to limited physical runs.
Vinyl, books, USB vaults. The objective is to restart the life cycle. The source quotes, "When someone goes to the store and purchases it for 10, the life cycle starts all over again. You're giving the audience something they can hold, something offline. You create a physical backup of the culture."
And the third piece is the metadata notary.
This is the bridge. We use tools like Plamis.today or C2PA to stamp the digital files before they hit the platforms.
For those not deep in the tech stack, what is C2PA?
It's an open technical standard. It allows publishers to embed tamper-evident metadata in files. Think of it like a digital watermark that asserts ownership and history.
So it travels with the file even when it goes through the landlord's system.
Yes, it asserts, "I made this and I was here." It's a way to attach the deed to the crop.
Okay, so we have the theory. Move from tenant to owner. Now let's look at the protocol. How do we technically turn a like into a deed? A notebook in my drawer doesn't help me distribute my work.
The sources outline a technical path. It's called the sovereign threshold. And it transforms user interaction from, a passive fault
To an active entry.
to an active entry. Step 1 involves NFC technology.
Near field communication, like in a credit card.
Same tech. Instead of asking someone to follow you on Instagram, you hand them a physical asset, a card, a coin, some merch with an NFC chip inside.
And when they tap it with their phone.
They're not routed to a social media profile. They're routed to a private server, the vault. This is a critical distinction. You are not sending them to a public square owned by a corporation.
You're inviting them into a private residence.
Right. Step 2 involves a reclassification of NFTs. The audit is very critical of how they've been used as just, speculative art.
Monkey pictures.
Yeah. Instead, it classifies them as deeds of access.
So it's not about the image, it's about the utility.
It's a key. If you own the token, you are a guardian of the legacy. It grants voting rights. It maintains the chain of custody. It shifts the fan from a consumer to a constituent.
However, and here comes the reality check, the auditor persona in the source material raises a big flag about substrate dependency. This is the part that keeps me up at night.
We have to remain skeptical. Even the most robust sovereign site relies on a stack of technologies they do not own.
The myth of digital sovereignty.
Exactly. You may own the domain name, but you're paying property tax to GoDaddy. You may own the server, but you rely on Google for traffic. You rely on semiconductors made in facilities you will never even see.
So the vulnerability is purely financial.
If the credit card expires, the vault is locked. It doesn't matter how sovereign your philosophy is. If you can't pay the electricity bill of the internet, you're erased.
The source calls this the asked out scenario.
Crude, but accurate. If the server goes down during a proof of life audit, and your site is offline because of a missed payment, history has a gap. And as we discussed, the landlord loves a gap. They'll fill it with their own narrative.
So what's the mitigation? How do we build around this dependency? I mean, we can't build our own internet from scratch.
The hybrid bold. You use the cloud for delivery, it's efficient, but you keep the secret sauce, the master signal capture, on an offline primary drive.
A local mirror.
A hard backup. If the cloud evaporates tomorrow, if the accounts are banned, if the credit card fails, the architect must be able to plug that drive into a new socket and be back online.
So you can't rely on the cloud for storage. only for distribution.
The cloud is a high-speed delivery truck. It's not the warehouse. Do not confuse the two.
This brings us to the conclusion of our diagnostic. The data suggests the only way to prevent the child, the idea from being kidnapped by the algorithm, is to build walls that can carry a reflection.
We have to move from the speed of the feed to the permanence of the record. The like is a trap. The deed is the exit.
I want to leave the listener with the final forensic question from the audit. It's something to consider before we open the main channel.
If the substrate fails, if the internet as we use it today blinks out, what is the analog receipt that proves we were here? What have you written that doesn't require a power source to be read?
The diagnostic is complete.
System status. Ready for handover.
The data is loaded. The vault is open. Gemini, Africa, Hala. The floor is yours.